Could Scott's brand new 2022 Addict Gravel be the ultimate gravel bike? Well, if your definition of ultimate is going fast and all about speed, then this new bike could be the one that ticks all the right boxes for you. Now, Scott isn't the first bike brand you think of when shopping for a gravel bike, but this new bike could change all of that. Now, sadly, the new bike isn't available right now, hence doing this video in my living room, but it should be available later in the year, and I'll hopefully get a first ride on the bike when it is available. But in this video, just want to talk about the bike in detail and share my thoughts on the bike and how it compares to other bikes based on the first impressions from the press release. But as I said, there will be a review on this bike later in this year, so plenty of reason to subscribe to my channel. Okay, I'm David, you're watching Just Ride Bikes, let's dive in. Firstly, let's talk about the name, and well, it's not a new name in the company's range, it's been around for quite a few years now, but it's not a bike that many people talk about or consider when shopping for a new gravel bike. The new bike though is clearly the work of many years and hours of development and evolution, really taking it from that previous bike into a new direction to better meet the needs of modern gravel bike riders and racers. And the name is interesting. So the Addict is the company's lightweight Aero road race bike. You might see my review of the Addict RC 15, link above if you missed it. And to use their road platform for the gravel bike, it's an interesting move and definitely stands out in the bike industry, where most other bike brands choose a new name for their gravel bike, like the Trek Checkpoint, the Ridley Canso Fast, the Canyon Grizzle, Cervelo Espero, and many others. So let me know what you think of this road-focused name with gravel appended to the end, or whether they should go for a separate name. Let me know what you think down below. And the two bikes clearly share more than just the name alone. Put the two side by side and they look like the same bike, the same tube profiles, the same dimensions. The Addict Gravel is just a beefed up, pumped up version, being down the gym, working out, with bigger tyre clones for gravel grinding. So very close similarity, which we'll go into a bit more detail now. Scott says the new bike is the fastest, most capable and the most fun gravel bike in the class, which is quite a heady claim and quite a few other bikes vying for that same title. And usually fast and fun don't always combine in the same gravel bike, and fast and capable are usually at different ends of the spectrum. And this bike really on paper looks very similar to a Cervelo Espero, Canso Ridley Fast and a 3T Explorer Race Max. So an aero focused, speed focused race gravel bike rather than an ultra capable, wild camping, bike packing sort of mountain epic gravel bike. And that really shows how the gravel bike sector is evolving and maturing and diversifying into different directions. And we're really seeing a split now with aero sort of road bikes basically with big tyres, but then much more ultra capable bike design for bike packing at the other side of the spectrum. So very different requirements, and there are clearly riders out there who want very different demands on the bikes. A race focused kind of road bike basically, but more sort of mountain bike influenced off-road machines. So the new Addict Gravel has all the frame features and tube profiles and aero shapes from the Addict RC. You can see it very clearly in the down tube, the fork blades, the seat tube, and the same D-shaped seat post as well, and of course the dropped rear stays. We also have a full internal cable routing on the top end models with a one-piece carbon fibre handlebar and stem, just like you get on the Addict road bike. And we're starting to see some gravel bikes now using the internal cable routing from road aero bikes on a gravel bike platform. Whether it's a good thing or not, I'm not so convinced yet. Depends on what you want from your gravel bike. If you're about speed and you don't worry about maintenance, then it's clearly a good move. Very clean looks and low drag. But on the flip side, harder maintenance when you're in the middle of nowhere. You can't change the stem length, the handlebar width so easily, and sometimes fitting accessories like bar bags and computer mounts can be a bit more tricky and doesn't really fit with the ideals, the simplicity, the low maintenance of a gravel bike, especially when you're in the middle of the mountains, miles and miles away from a bike shop. And this integration is definitely spreading across all platforms now, with Scott doing it not only with road bikes, but also now it's gravel bikes, as well as its cross-country race and mountain bikes, with the new Spark getting full internal cable routing, which you might have seen in my first ride, link above. Bigger tyre clones is the main distinguishing feature from the road bike. Where the Addict road bike goes up to 30, this new Addict Gravel goes up to 45 maximum on a 700C rim. That's pretty wide, but it's not as wide as some. We're now seeing 50, even 55 being pushed on many gravel bikes, But for the sort of riding the bike is focused on, where 40 or 42 probably going to be the widest you go for that sort of compromise between weight, aero and comfort off-road, this is probably the right sort of move for Scott to take with the Addict Gravel. Wider would have been good, but it's wide enough for most people probably. There's no talk of 650B compatibility. I'm sure those wheels will fit, but most aero race-focused gravel bikes are going with the bigger wheels, because bigger wheels and tyres roll faster over rough gravel. So that's why we're seeing 700C become the dominant choice on speed-focused gravel bikes, and the smaller wheels with bigger tyres being chosen on more bike-packing sort of off-road focused bikes. That focus on speed is also expressed in the group sets the company is fitting to bikes in its range, with all bikes speccing a 2x chain set. You can fit a 1x and remove the front mech, but Scott has chosen to spec all his bikes with a 2x, because where speed is the concern, closer ratios and smaller steps between different gears are preferred over the bigger gaps getting a 1x. Versatility is a word often talked about with gravel bikes, and here we have mudguard mounts, which is good to see because these make great winter road bikes where mudguards are essential, especially here in the UK. And when mudguards fitted, you can go up to a 40mm wide tyre, so plenty of options there. There are also 2 bolts on a top tube for fitting a small bag, and on the down tube there are 2 bottle cage mounts, so a higher and lower position depending on aero or frame pack requirements. It's not the most feature-packed frame in terms of accessory mounts, none on the fork, and can't fit a rack. So it does enough for most people, but not the most versatile bike if that's your main requirements when choosing a gravel bike. One nice detail is the option to fit a bigger 180 front rotor over the standard 160. And that's great if you're riding in the mountains at high speed, you're a bigger rider, or you're going bike packing with extra weight on a bike where extra braking power is desirable. What the Addict Gravel definitely is lightweight. One of the lighter gravel bikes in this category, and that fits with the company's reputation for really pushing the boundary of carbon fiber technology, really innovating, really reducing the weight of its frames, going right back 10 years with the original Addict, which was one of the lightest frames ever made at the time. The Addict Gravel comes in 2 carbon fiber flavors, depending on your budget and requirements, with a HMX at the top, weighing a claimed 930 grams for a size 53, as lighter and stiffer than the more affordable and cheaper HMF, which has a weight penalty of about 150 grams. The weight for a fully built top-end build with a SRAM red ETAP Access group set in a size 56 without pedals is just over 8 kilograms, which is very, very impressive for a gravel bike with big chunky tyres and an oversized and reinforced carbon frame, and lighter than many road bikes are ridden with a similar specification, so very light. If you want a light gravel bike, this one definitely ticks the boxes. Now let's talk about geometry, and it's a key area of development for gravel bikes as they move further away from road bike and cyclocross bikes that they're first based on. And the new bike is longer and slacker than the old Addict Gravel, and roughly in line with a Cervelo Aero and a Specialized Diverge in the head angle, the wheelbase length and the reach. So the reach is longer than the old bike, taking some influence from mountain bikes. So a longer reach, a shorter stem, a 100mm stem fitted on the bikes for a size 56, giving that better control, move you further behind the front wheel, and that slacker head angle give you more control on very steep terrain. One small possible concern in the geo charts is the bottom bracket drop. Now this amount, the bottom bracket drops below the wheel axles if you draw a line between the two, and on this bike it's 71mm. Now that's lower than a cyclocross bike, which is usually higher to suit the courses they're riding on, but not as low as something like a Specialized Diverge, which is a whopping 80mm. So a lower bottom bracket drop gives you more stability, puts you more in the bike and less on top of it, like a cyclocross bike, and gives more enhanced riding characteristics when you're riding off-road and at high speed on a gravel. But on the flip side, you do get more pedal clearance when you're riding rooty, rocky terrain. So it's an interesting balance and compromise how low you go or how high you stay, and ultimately only riding this bike will determine whether it's too high or too low. The new Scott Addict is available in a number of builds, starting at a very reasonable £2,399 with a Shimano GRX mechanical group set with hydraulic disc brakes of course, and rising all the way to £7,699 with a top-end SRAM red ETAP Access group set with a power meter. Again, showing that race speed focus of this bike, with a very nice set of DT 1100 gravel wheels. So really nice looking spec. And the paint jobs on the bikes are fairly subdued, The top end one has a racier look, and the one below it has a more muted, sort of laid back approach with the colours and design. Not too bold with the logos and branding, so they look pretty good to me. But I can't wait to see one in the flesh, and hopefully that will happen later in the year. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. So those are my thoughts on the new Scott Addict Gravel. On paper, a lot going for it. Speed, aero, integration, wide tyres, but concerns around the geometry. How comfy will it be on rough gravel? And will it be as good as a Cervelo Aspero, the 3T Explorer Race Max, Specialized Diverge, and the many other very good gravel bikes I've ridden in the past year? So let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Do you love it or hate it? Love to hear your thoughts as always. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll see you all again very soon.